What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'm doing another NASCAR silly season update. We're going to talk about all the answer questions in regards to silly season and some of the unanswered questions and unknowns still going on in 2024, the 2025 NASCAR silly season. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Let's begin by talking about the things that we know at this point. In the middle of May, it was announced that Kyle Busch will be returning to Richard Racing in 2025. There have been some conversation about him maybe going to Spire Motorsports or to another organization for 2025, but Kyle Busch is expected and will likely be back in the number 8 car for Richard Racing in 2025. Then it was confirmed in the first week of August that Connor Zilisch would officially be joining Junior Motorsports full-time in 2025 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, driving a number 88 car. Trackhouse will be helping pay for this ride going into next year, and we do think that Red Bull could sponsor at some point. We'll see Connor Zilisch joining Junior Motorsports in the 2025 NASCAR season. Then it was confirmed in the second week of August that Eric Jones has signed a multi-year contract extension with Legacy Motor Club. There have been some talk about him going over to Spire Motorsports for 2025, but Legacy will keep him around for the 2025 and at least through 2026 and maybe through 2027 as well. It was confirmed that same week that AJ Allmendinger will be headed back to the Cup Series full-time in 2025 to drive the number 16 car for Kaulig Racing. AJ had been in the Xfinity Series full-time this year, but he feels like he deserves to be back in Cup, and he'll be back in the Cup Series full-time in 2025. Then it was confirmed during Michigan Week that Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer will be officially joining the Haas factory team in 2025. There have been talk about drivers like Ryan Preece, Harrison Burton, and even Haley Deegan getting a chance and opportunity to drive for this team, but we'll see Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer move over to the Haas factory team in 2025. Then it was confirmed during Daytona Week that Daniel Dye would officially be headed to Kaulig Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series full-time in 2025. He'll drive the number 10 car. This basically is the 97 car from this past year. He'll probably be working with SVG's crew chief this year, and Daniel Dye will head to Xfinity full-time in 2025. Speaking of Shane Van Gisbergen, it was confirmed during Daytona Week as well that SVG will be joining the Cup Series full-time in 2025, driving a number 88 car. Dale Jr. gave his blessing. We do think that Jr. could work with the team in some sort of capacity maybe in the future. There were talks about Junior Motorsports moving up the Cup. Shane Van Gisbergen will move up to the Cup Series full-time in 2025. Then it was confirmed during Darlington Week that Christian Eckes would officially be joining Kaulig Racing in the 2025 season. There was speculation for the past few weeks this likely was going to happen, and he officially move up to the NASCAR Xfinity Series to drive the number 16 car to replace AJ Allmendinger for next year. Then it was confirmed about a week or two ago that Brandon Jones would officially be headed back to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2025. While the number's not been officially confirmed, I think most likely he'll either drive the 20 or the 19 car next year. Probably the 19, considering he drove the 19 for about 5 years. Brandon Jones is back at Joe Gibbs Racing for 2025. And finally, it was confirmed this past week that Parker Kligerman would not be returning to Big Machine Racing in 2025, as he'll retire from full-time racing at the end of this year. He'll still likely run part-time either in Xfinity or trucks next year, but Parker Kligerman will retire from full-time racing at the end of this year. So those are the things we know. Now let's go through some of the unanswered questions. Let's begin by talking about Corey LaJoie. Now, Corey LaJoie, early in the last couple weeks, we know he's not going to return to Spire Motorsports. Is announced during the Olympic break, that he would not be back with Spire Motorsports for the 2025 season. And there was early speculation that Corey LaJoie was maybe going to head to McAnally Hilgeman Racing in the Truck Series for next year. However, over the last week or so, it was reported by Jordan Bianchi that he is likely headed over to Rick Ware Racing to drive the number 1551 car for 2025. Corey LaJoie, while I think he struggled at times here, has also had a couple top 10s as of recently, and while some will probably disagree, I think LaJoie could have some success with this organization, but I do not expect him to set the world on fire. I know Corey probably would like to be in a top tier ride in lower series, but he also kind of likes to play that underdog story. So I do think Corey LaJoie, more than likely, nonetheless, will be with the Rick Ware group. I think he'll do a solid job with the organization, most likely, and he's probably going to the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing next year. Now let's talk about Bubba Wallace. Now, Bubba Wallace is one of the biggest silly season questions at the moment because Bubba Wallace has still not signed a contract extension with 2311 Racing. We are expecting that Bubba is going to return to 23XI Racing for the 2025 season. However, one reason they've not signed a multi-year agreement is because 23XI Racing is one of the two organizations that has not signed a charter agreement for 2025. And there's still a little speculation that they may not sign the charter agreement going forward. If they don't end up signing the charter agreement, I would not be surprised or shocked if Bubba Wallace is a free agent. Now, still more than likely, Bubba Wallace will be back with 23XI in 2025. But like I said, if they don't sign a charter agreement for next year, Bubba Wallace's future could definitely be a little bit in question going into the future. Now, speaking of Spire Motorsports, the driver that's likely headed over to number 7 car for Spire Motorsports in 2025 is Justin Haley. Justin Haley's been the lead candidate to drive the 7 car ever since it was announced that Corey LaJoie would not be back with the team. It sounds like a driver swap between Corey LaJoie and Justin Haley is very likely at this point. Hendrick Motorsports, and what we know, really likes Justin Haley in a pretty massive and huge way. And I think Justin Haley would do a very good job. He's really overachieved with Bricker Racing so far this year. And I think overdriving for Spire Motorsports Group next year would absolutely be huge. It's very likely Justin Haley will be joining Spire Motorsports full-time in 2025. Another question mark is Ryan Preece. Now, over the last couple weeks, there's been a lot of talk and speculation that began around when the playoffs started that Ryan Preece would be headed over to RFK Racing starting in 2025. Now, RFK Racing is expected to expand to a 3-car operation full-time next year. The number most likely be number 60, with Kroger sponsoring that car. And because of Ryan Preece's past connections working over with the organization and working, of course, with Kroger in the past, I imagine that's a big reason why. They're going to be leaving JTG Doherty Racing at the end of the year, and they're looking to work with somebody else. It sounds very likely at this point that Ryan Preece will be headed over to RFK Racing full-time in 2025. Moving over, let's talk about Zane Smith. Now, earlier in the last couple weeks, there were reports coming out that Zane Smith may not be headed to Front Row Motorsports in 2025. However, that has changed in recent weeks and was reported by Jordan Bianchi this past week, just like other people have been saying on social media, that we expect that Zane Smith will be going to a third Front Row Motorsports car for 2025. However, they're one of the two teams that has still not signed the charter agreement. But unlike 23XI Racing, I don't expect Front Row to hold out for much longer. I think they're going to sign the charter agreement, especially since they're going to be a 3-car team next year full-time. I think Zane Smith's going over there. I think Zane was liked by a lot of people at Front Row. I know Kevin Harvick has said that at the time that there basically wasn't a lot of people liked him over there. But that's obviously Kevin Harvick trying to find his own drivers at his group that work in his agency, trying to find rides for them. I do expect that Zane Smith most likely will be with Front Row in 2025. Moving on and talking about Hendrick Motorsports. There was a lot of talk the last couple of weeks that Alex Bowman would not be back with Hendrick Motorsports for 2025, and Justin Haley or Kyle Busch was the most likely replacement. However, it was confirmed, especially with how well Alex Bowman has been running with Hendrick recently, that we're going to see Alex Bowman back in a Hendrick Motorsports car for 2025. It's well-deserved. His performance has been very, very good. Ally really likes Bowman. Now, the question will be, will this talk come back up again? It's unknown at this point, but we do think Alex Bowman for sure is back with Hendrick, and nothing's changing. Rick Hendrick confirmed it recently at the Kyle Larson announcement. We'll see him most likely join the organization or stay with the organization in 2025. One driver that we do think is going to be in the Cup Series full-time next year is Riley Hurst. He's expected to drive the third 23XI Racing car for 2025. However, if 23XI Racing, like I mentioned already, does not sign the charter agreement, Riley Hurst's future could definitely be in question. Now, I could still see him end up in the Cup Series on a part-time basis with Rick Ware, or could go to another organization for next year. But like I said, if 23XI does eventually sign the charter agreement going forward, Riley Hurst more than likely is going to get the third 23XI seat. I think he deserves a shot and opportunity being Cup to see what he can do. I think he'll be in his third car, though I do think Corey Heim deserves it more than Riley Hurst. Moving on, let's talk about Hailie Deegan. Now, Hailie Deegan, we all kind of thought was going to Haas Factory for at least a couple weeks. And then everything changed when Haas Factory team announced it, and we saw Couch Racer and all these accounts posting that she wasn't going there. Now, I think her future is very uncertain at the moment right now. I don't know if she's going to be in NASCAR at all next year, to be honest, and it wouldn't be a bad thing in all honesty. I could see her going to the IndyCar world. I know that she was at Iowa about a month and a half or 2 months ago doing an Indy Lights test with Andretti. It sounds like she may not be in NASCAR next year unless she goes to a smaller organization, and she'll probably be looking for somewhere to go in 2025. Another driver's future that's a little in question is Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith is not expected to return to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2025, according to reports, and it's unknown at this point where Chandler Smith is likely going to be headed. I can see him going in a couple front rows. Zane Smith doesn't end up there, but I do think Zane Smith is going to be in a front row motorsports car in 2025. So Chandler's going to be looking for another opportunity, maybe staying with Toyota, maybe going back to Chevy. It's unknown at this point, maybe going to JRM, but I think Chandler Smith's future is a little bit in question, in limbo, currently at the moment. Speaking of Joe Gibbs Racing, it's very likely that Taylor Gray will be in a Joe Gibbs Racing car for 2025. Taylor Gray has been doing solid in the Truck Series, has made select starts in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs Racing this year, and I do think that you'll see Taylor Gray get the chance, the shot, and the opportunity to move up to Xfinity full-time, to drive full-time in Xfinity for Joe Gibbs Racing next year, because he does have a little sponsorship in funding as well. Another driver that is, of course, expected to join Joe Gibbs Racing is William Sawalich. William Sawalich will make his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut later this year at Homestead Miami Speedway next month. As a matter of fact, he will turn 18 years old. We do think most likely that William Sawalich will go full-time with Joe Gibbs Racing. I think he'll do pretty good over there. He's probably going over there in 2025. Moving back down to the Truck Series, Roger Curve is expected to return to the Truck Series full-time in 2025. There have been some slight speculation about him moving up to the NASCAR Xfinity Series of Hendrick Motorsports, but I think most likely going into the 2025 season, Roger Curve is going to be sticking around in trucks and driving once again at the number 71 truck full-time. Hendrick's back in a pretty major way. We think Roger is going to be sticking around in the Truck Series once again in 2025. And finally, let's talk about Nick Sanchez. Now, right now, with Parker Kligerman not being back next year, it sounds very likely that Nick Sanchez will be headed over to Big Machine Racing full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2025. Nick Sanchez has a little bit of sponsorship funding with him. Rev Racing is rumored to be working with this organization next year, and Nick Sanchez has previously driven for Big Machine Racing. So I do expect in 2025, you'll see Nick Sanchez more than likely headed over to Big Machine Racing. I think Nick's got a lot of talent. He's proved himself in the Truck Series so far this year. I think he'll more than likely be the replacement for Parker Kligerman going into 2025. Let's talk about some other notable mentions. Harrison Burton's future is a little uncertain currently at the moment right now. He did say recently to the media that he's talked to some Cup Series teams, but I do think that Harrison Burton most likely is going back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series next year. Carl Edwards has stated he's been interested in coming back in some sort of media landscape. He's not coming back to drive a race car, but he could come back in some sort of capacity. Kurt Busch, we all talk about him getting arrested. There was talk earlier this year about him coming back and making a one-off return. I don't expect that to happen at this point because of that. Tyler Ankrum was spotted in the Spire shop not too long ago. There are rumors he could go to Spire Motorsports next year, but I think he also could stay with McAnally Hilgeman. And Carson Quaffle most likely will be headed over to Junior Motorsports full-time if they get the sponsorship funding for him for 2025. So, that is going to be it for the small NASCAR silly season update. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support on Patreon as well. List description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts about the small silly season update? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. There might be a Truck Series Bracelet video later today on the channel. Tomorrow, we're going to have a NASCAR news video discussing over the course of the last couple of days. We'll also have Xfinity Series race picks. Then on Thursday, we'll have Cup race picks. We'll also have a truck review, and we will also have the paint scheme video dropping for Bristol. Got a lot of great content dropping that I cannot wait for you guys to check out. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.